does that essence of trust that you just started to hint at, how does that get measured and taken into account, and how do boards actually incorporate that issue of trust into their considerations?
This is a very interesting point too, because early this year there's a survey organisation called Edelman.
I've heard of them. Yep.
Yeah, the Edelman Barometer. And the Edelman Barometer measures the population's trust in their corporations. Interestingly, of the 28 countries that they surveyed, Australia ranked the 8th lowest. And these 28 countries, mostly developed economies, so something's not going right. Something's not working properly if we as Australians don't trust our corporations and our governments to do the right thing.
And the big banks represent 4 out of the largest 5 institutions by capital market value at the moment.
They do.
In Australia.
They do. So this is a real big issue for boards of directors, how to rebuild trust. There are probably 6 major issues that confront boards at the moment. One is to articulate their core purpose. A lot of these organisations have not articulated their core purpose.
Why are we here?
Why are we here? How are we going to be present in our communities? They've got their mission, vision and values, but they are mostly, they're in their annual reports, they're on their websites, the staff get trained in them, but they're mostly inward looking. They're not looking out into their constituent base. This notion of core purpose is really important.
So there's a social community responsibility you're talking about there.
Absolutely, and every organisation has that. But there are probably 5 other issues that boards need to think about. They need to think about their credibility, which is linked to trust. And the big banks are not looking too good in terms of their credibility at the moment. They need to think about their reputation, which is again linked to credibility. The AMP in particular, the reputation's in tatters. And if you have a look at the share price of the AMP, it's tanked since those Royal Commission, since Rowena Orr interrogated. She's fairly fierce, isn't she?
She is very good. There's a lot of respect for her.
There's issues with the boards themselves and the issue around renewal. And renewal's not just about finding new directors, it's about directors themselves reinvigorating themselves. They need to have a look at themselves because they get stuck in this thing of groupthink. We'll all agree with each other, we'll all pursue profits, we'll look at the financials first when the board meeting opens. And visibility is a real issue too, because if you think about the boards of our big corporates, you might know who the chair is. You might know you'll know who the CEO is, but who are the rest of them? Are they visible? Are they visible inside the organisation? Are they present outside of that?
Only in the annual reports, I suspect.
And at the annual general meeting.
Annual general meeting.
Yes,
indeed.
And there are structural issues as well. If you look at the structure of the board of any of these major corporates, they all follow much the same model. They don't really question whether that's a good model, and they don't really question whether, given all the disruption that's going on in the industry at the moment, whether a different model might better suit them.
So looking forward, Geoff, how is the Royal Commission interim report likely to affect the behaviour of the boards that we're talking about here?
I think every major financial institution will be studying this interim report very carefully. Not only that, but the sorts of problems that we've been seeing coming out of the Banking Law Commission are not limited to the banking sector.
No.
If you look retail, telecommunications, airlines, they all follow a similar model, and they're all driven to pursue financial returns.
A similar model of corporate governance that needs a broader look at social responsibility.
Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely.
That makes sense.
Yeah. In the UK in 2008, they changed the Corporations Act. In Australia, the Corporations Act states that directors must act in the best interests of their members, meaning shareholders. There's nothing there that precludes them from taking into account the other stakeholders. But in the UK, they changed the Act that said directors must take into consideration the interests of their members, but also have regard to other stakeholders, such as the environment, the community, customers, and their employees. And they must be very mindful of acting in ways that preserve their reputation. Our Corporations Act doesn't say that.